Who's from Dartford in Kent in England. He was here as well and caught up in the aftermath of what happened at Las Ramblas. This is what he told me.
It was fairly surreal and chaotic at that time. All we heard was a couple of tourists shouting that people had been hit and there was blood everywhere. We got onto Las Ramblas and there were just people running everywhere, so we couldn't get anywhere near our apartment, which is literally just parallel with where the van ended up. So we made our way through the back streets, which were just filled with people at that time panicking, really. The police also were in the back streets very, very quickly. Las Ramblas has numerous side alleyways all the way up and down it, and they were literally flooded with police on foot and on motorcycles, getting us off the street and clearly looking for someone we now know. By the time we got back to our street, we could see where the van had ended and we could see bodies on the floor. But we just made our way back to our apartment as quickly as we could, because we then ended up within the police cordon, couldn't actually leave the building because obviously the marketplace where a lot of the armed police were was literally behind our building. So we were sort of, in this sort of trapped position.
How long were you trapped there for? I mean, have you been able to go back to your apartment now?
Yeah, we stayed in the apartment for about 2 or 3 hours until we'd got all the international news. There was nothing on the news for about 20 minutes, half an hour, so we didn't really know the severity of what happened, apart from by judging from the numbers of people running through the streets and the volume of police and the helicopters overhead. So we knew that it was fairly serious. We left our apartment probably about 9:30 last night to go and meet friends on the other side of Barcelona, just check that they were all okay, and the whole city was fairly quiet, fairly subdued, whereas normally you'd expect Barcelona to be buzzing at this time of year. Obviously everyone is now, very on edge.
And I suppose if you'd been walking down Las Ramblas a few minutes earlier, you could have been caught up in the attack.
Absolutely. We literally would have been where the van ended up had we been 2 minutes earlier, because that's exactly where we were headed, to turn down the side street to go into our hotel. So we were really grateful that we were just that 2 minutes behind where the attack actually happened.
How does it? You're on holiday here. I mean, are you staying despite what's happened?
Yeah, we're staying. We're staying till Monday, and we're just taking it day by day, seeing how things go. It was obviously, we were very freaked out last night and on edge. Feel a little bit calmer today. I think, as you've mentioned, Las Ramblas is sort of getting back to some semblance of normality. There's lots of people down there, and the stores are starting to open back up. We feel fairly reassured by the volume of police and the sort of the security services response. So we're intending to stay.
But you're a bit shaken.
A little bit shocked, a little bit on edge still, sort of hasn't really sunk in. As I say, the first sort of 10 minutes after the attack, it was all fairly surreal. Half the crowds were running and screaming away, and the other half had no clue what was actually happening at all. So they're just standing around, like looking, wondering what's going on. So it was all a bit surreal for that first bit. Then, I say, once it became clear what was happening, that's when it sort of starts to sink in. And when we saw people on the floor being tended to by emergency services, you suddenly realise the severity of the situation. And we were very concerned last night until they'd sort of arrested anyone, because we didn't know where anyone was. Obviously now we hear that the driver's probably still unapprehended, so that does leave a little bit of apprehension, worried about where we're going to go tonight or what we're going to do today. Want to stay in secure places, really.
And obviously there have been a string of these vehicle attacks across Europe, including London.
Yeah.
Did you realise pretty quickly that that's probably what it was when you saw everybody running?
Yeah, I think we realised when the first tourist was shouting out, "Oh, people have been hit, there's blood," we thought it was perhaps just a tragic car accident. By the time we saw the volume of police, and then we could see there was the van there and there was bodies on the floor, we guessed pretty quickly that this was some form of deliberate attack. Especially knowing Las Ramblas as well, it's a prime target for that sort of attack, because you've got concentrated pedestrians in a small area. There is literally nowhere to run. As that van was going down, those people would have had nowhere to go, because you've got traffic either side of you and literally just a complete mass of people in the middle. So there was nowhere to escape. So we guessed exactly what was going on.
Well, that was Gregg there, a British eyewitness to what happened here in Barcelona from Dartford in Kent, telling me what he saw and heard. Just want to show you some live pictures now from Las Ramblas.